To many Virgin Islanders, stories about the millions owed by the Water and Power Authority to various vendors might seem as common as coconut trees on a beach. And on Wednesday, lawmakers on the Committee on Government Operations and Consumer Protection heard a familiar refrain from WAPA CEO Andrew Smith. The agency is on the financial ropes and faces debt to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. As of mid-September, WAPA calculated that it owed $150 million to Vitol, the company which supplies it with fuel, while other vendors were owed more than $40 million. Smith described the company as currently just trying to survive.
This is a survival plan, right? As I talked about earlier, we lose 16 cents on every kilowatt hour that we sell. Senator Blyden mentioned that the GVI is helping us with fuel support. Without that, we run out of cash, right? I mean, that's just where we are. So we're in survival mode now. We will return to a longer term planning process.
The money WAPA owes to Vitol consists both of outstanding payments for infrastructural work as well as fees and penalties imposed on WAPA by Vitol. The amount is $10 million less than that quoted by Vitol in an August letter written to Governor Albert Ryan Jr. However, it is still a significant sum compared with the expendable revenue generated by WAPA each month. Chief Financial Officer Jacob Lewis says that the vast majority of outstanding vendor payments that are older than 120 days have been accrued over the past 2 years.
For 7Cs, the number was 10.6 million, and for Agreco, 4.7 million. There are many other vendors that we are in arrears with, but these are, I would say, kind of the three.
These are the three major ones. These are the three major ones.
Exactly.
In addition to outstanding vendor payments, WAPA owes almost $2 million to the government employees' retirement system for remittances of employee contributions. The balance represents about 2/3 of the total sum of unremitted employee withholdings, as WAPA has already paid over $900,000 in outstanding contributions through the month of September. Without significant support from central government, WAPA's financial position would be even more dire than it is today. The agency has received $28 million from the USVI's share of the American Rescue Plan Act funds to subsidize its fuel purchases. It is this generosity that has allowed the utility company to continue to operate. Smith and his team told committee members that they had a plan in place to whittle away at the most critical debts, which add up to approximately $23 million each month. But even with the subsidy from American taxpayers, WAPA says it continues to lose financial ground, largely due to underinvestment over past decades.
Our performance is not good, right? There's no two ways around it, right? We're a business been underinvested in for 20 years, as I mentioned earlier. Our power plants have not been maintained. We have assets that are 3 times past their maintenance interval, right? We have a billing system that's inadequate, right? We have historical legacy systems across the company that are inadequate. I am here to address those things. Unfortunately, right now, when I lose 16 cents on every kilowatt hour that I sell, I've got to target my resources to getting to where I can survive, right? Now, addressing billing, addressing meter reading, all of those things that are things that we are working on and devising plans for. But all of those things take time to fix, right? I can't turn around overnight and all of a sudden lower our cost of generation, get every bill 100% right, read every meter every day, every second of the day, and address all of those things. None of that happens instantaneously. It takes long, arduous, hard work by a lot of dedicated people to get that done. That's underway, but I want to be clear that none of that happens immediately, and none of it happens without money and time and sweat.
The high cost of fuel has been a major contributor to WAPA's inability to pay down its debts.
Fuel prices have increased sharply since the beginning of 2021, with propane rising 22% and diesel rising 161%. The authority makes electricity by burning approximately 80% propane and 20% diesel. The authority spends over 90% of its revenue on 3 things: fuel, debt service, and payroll. Fuel alone consumes approximately 70% of the authority's revenue. Despite the rise in fuel costs, the authority continues to shield its customers from the high cost of fuel and has been doing so with assistance from the government of the Virgin Islands through the American Rescue Plan.
According to the WAPA CEO, the authority is in the process of executing a number of significant internal initiatives to improve operations and stabilize its financial position, which altogether are anticipated to save $35 million in operating costs over the next 3 years. These initiatives include $6.4 million in interest savings negotiated in a refinancing exercise earlier this year, lower negotiated insurance premiums, elimination of the Belongo lease, and a hiring freeze.